everybody. This is Amy from the Wood County District Public Library Children's Place. I'm here with a friend from the Wood County Solid Waste Management team here in BG. Her name is Hannah. So we're going to talk today about a little bit about gardening, a little bit about recycling, and fun things we can do with the library. We have our summer reading program involving fairy tales this year, and this month, even through the end of the month, we can still plant things outside, kind of like Jack and the Beanstalk, who mom threw his beans out the window and a giant beanstalk grew. So we're going to show you how you can maybe start some beans to grow in your yard. It's really easy, but also please remember that you can join our summer reading program. We have our Connect magazine that's online, and we have some at the library that you can pick up from our curbside, which is great because we can't have people in the library. We're still trying to keep things really clean, but you can call the library and ask for some fairy tale books or any books, some gardening books and some recycling books and a Connect magazine, and you can stop by and get that behind the library. Let's talk to Hannah. Hannah, hi.
Hi, Amy.
How are you?
Hi, guys. So, I'm doing very good. It's almost the weekend, and I'm excited to go out and garden myself. So I wanted to do a hands-on activity with you guys that incorporates gardening at home, and it's something that you can do by yourself or with your parents' help.
Oh, that's great.
So my name is Hannah. Yeah, it's a cool activity because we're going to be talking about the 3 R's today, which is reduce, reuse, and recycle. And this project is going to do all three, and we're also going to touch a little bit about composting too.
Ooh, what's composting?
So composting is when you take things that might go into the trash can, like your banana peel or your potato skins or even an old newspaper, and instead of putting those in the trash can where they're going to go to the landfill for a very long time, we can actually start a process where they break down naturally and they go back into the earth and they form like a really healthy soil amendment. So it's good for the gardens and it's good for the earth. Yeah.
So you just make a pile of your leftover food?
You do. So when it goes to the landfill, it doesn't break down naturally, and it emits a greenhouse gas when it is at the landfill. So in order to avoid that, we can have our own backyard compost where it's kind of just like a big heap of our leftover food, our leftover yard waste, like leaves and grass and stuff, and some paper products too. So about 30% of what's in the landfill could have actually been composted.
Wow. So is that all you do at your office? You make compost, or do you do it for households? What else do you do there?
Yeah, so I like to talk about composting because it's a way that we can recycle organically. But my title is actually the recycling coordinator for Wood County. So I
Oh.
help teach people and hopefully you guys today about reducing how much waste we generate and also how we can recycle in the county.
Oh, that's great. How do you talk to us? Do you go to schools? Do you knock on people's doors? Are you on Facebook?
Yeah, so unfortunately, we're all kind of moving towards virtual like we are today. But usually I'm in your schools or I can talk to your parents in small groups. I like to be at outreach events like the Wood County Fair, Pemberville Fair, and other activities in the community and just kind of get to know you guys and talk to you about how we can be more sustainable. So the average person produces about 5 pounds of waste per day, and all of
Whoa.
that has to go somewhere. Yeah, that's a lot of trash.
Yeah.
So I like to talk to people about how we can limit that number, and then the waste that we do produce, what we do with that. So the solid waste district, we manage the Wood County landfill, where a lot of our waste from like our schools, our homes, the restaurants we go to, it all has to go somewhere, and a lot of it ends up in the landfill.
What's a
But like I mentioned
landfill?
earlier, not all The landfill is how we manage all the waste in our community. So it used to be just open pits where people would kind of throw their junk out, and yeah, it was not very sanitary and it was not very safe. So in 1979, they opened up the Wood County landfill. And so there's a big layers that protect the earth and protect the water from all the trash being collected there. And they manage that very scientifically and very safely so that all of our trash stays in one place and it doesn't leak out into the environment.
Say, is that where the windmills are out by the landfill?
That is where the windmills are. So those are actually the first in the state. Those were the first windmills in Ohio, and we can generate a lot of natural, sustainable electricity from those.
Bowling Green has the first windmills in the state?
Yes.
Yay!
Yeah, we were ahead of the curve on it.
That's great. So,
We're trying to be a great community here.
So you talk to people online and at festivals and fairs and sometimes schools when schools are open about recycling and trash and compost.
Yep. So I try to just talk about how we can reduce our footprint on the earth.
Okay. So how can we do that today? How can we reduce our impact on the earth and like also plant beans like Jack?
So Jack planted the beans, and we can plant our own seeds and flowers and other things that we plant. Those help to hold in carbon, and those they make our yards a lot prettier, and they're also really healthy for the planet. So that's one way. And then another way is all the items that we're going to be using in this activity are actually they can either be recycled, reduced, or reused. So everything in this demonstration is sustainable.
What's sustainable again?
Sustainable means that we can keep it going. So it means that we're not using more resources than we have. If we do things unsustainably, like just keep throwing away a lot of trash, eventually we're going to run out of space to keep that trash. And eventually we're going to run out of resources to make those products in the first place.
Oh yeah, we don't want that.
We don't want that. No.
Okay, so I don't know. I have like some newspaper and I have like an egg carton. Is there some way I can use these to reduce to be sustainable and get my plants in the ground?
Yeah, let's do the activity. So this is called the newspaper pot.
Okay.
And I like to use newspaper. But if you don't have newspaper at home, you might also be able to use like a paper bag or even some heavy duty construction paper.
Oh, okay. So I had my lunch in this the other day. Can I use that maybe? Or like I got some groceries the other day.
That should all work because we're gonna cut it down to use it for the size that we need. So as long as you have a pair of scissors, that should be fine.
I do.
Perfect.
I probably could tear it, right? Because it's paper. Would that be okay?
I'm sorry?
If I tore it, if I didn't have scissors or wasn't allowed to use them?
Yeah, I think you can tear it with your hands. We just have to make sure that we're careful so we don't rip it where we don't want it to be ripped.
Sure. Okay, will you show me how?
So I would love to. I am going to use scissors because I don't trust myself to rip it very well.
Okay.
So I'm also using a sheet of newspaper, and I want a bigger section than what I'm actually going to use. So along the newspaper, you can fold it in half, and you'll see that there's an open end and a closed end. Yep, perfect. And today I'm going to be using a steel can. And when I'm done with this can, I can recycle this can.
Okay.
But I can also use like a glass bottle or a plastic bottle, anything that's going to be a cylinder shape.
Oh, a cylinder is like a bottle or can, not a circle.
Yeah,
doesn't
so
have
like
corners. Okay. Cylinder.
Yep. Cylinder. Perfect. Okay, so I'm going to take my can, and I'm going to cut my paper according to the size of my can. So I want about 2 inches hanging off of my can. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take it at the top, and I'm gonna measure about 2 inches out, and I'm gonna make a mark so I know where to cut.
Am I cutting off the part that's folded closed, or do I cut off the part that's still open?
You're gonna wanna cut off the part that's still open,
Okay.
right where your fingers are at.
Okay. So my
about an
extra
inch and a half or 2 inches. It should hang over. Okay, so I'm gonna cut all the way down on the line that I marked. So you see that I have the can ends here, and I'm gonna cut about 2 inches out.
this one. Or this side.
And it doesn't have to be perfect, just as straight as you can. So I cut the whole strip all the way down, yep. Nice. So you should have a very long piece of newspaper left.
Okay.
And now we're gonna cut the width of it. So I'm going to measure again on my can, and I want it to wrap around the can completely with about 1 inch overlap. So right here is where my can wraps, and I'm gonna cut about 1 or 2 inches over that.
So here's the end of my paper, and I need to cut right here, I think, because that folds over.
Yep, so you want about just 1 inch or 2 of overlap. So I have my can, and I'm gonna wrap my newspaper around it, and there should just be like a little bit hanging over. Looks good. So I want to put the part that is folded at the bottom of the can, and then I want to put the open flaps so they're up, and I'm going to hold onto the can and the paper at the same time and wrap it around nice and tight. Okay, so we should have, it should look like this. You should have the open part with the folded side, and then the part that has the bottom with the open flaps. So now I'm going to make 4 folds. So I'm going to fold 1 time, 2 times, 3 times, 4 times. So I'm just covering up the base of the can with the flaps of extra newspaper. And then you're going to want to kind of crimp it on the bottom so it stays perfect, so it stays in place. So this is going to be the bottom of our newspaper pot. All right, once it's nice and tight, I can very carefully remove my can. And it should kind of hold its shape, but you might want to hold on to the base just in case. So this is our pot. So we're reducing, because instead of using a plastic pot that would have to get thrown away and go to the landfill, we're reducing our single-use plastic by using this newspaper. And then the next step, I'm going to want to just fold over the edges of the open side just a little bit, so I have a nice clean line.
Do I have to glue this or tape it?
It's I hold on to it, and then once you add the dirt, it should hold up pretty well.
Okay.
But right now it's kind of floppy, so you might want to hold on to the top of it and the bottom just to give it some more stability.
Okay, I trust you, Hannah.
Okay. Alrighty. So now we have our newspaper pot, and this newspaper is actually going to biodegrade once we put it into the earth. So that's a big word that means that Biodegrade is a big word. That means that it's going to break down. So within a few days or a few weeks, we're not even going to be able to see the newspaper, because newspaper is made from trees, and those come from the earth, and it's going to go and disintegrate. It's going to break down and become back part of the earth.
So does everything
So
that comes from the earth break down eventually? Anything that's from a natural material from the earth, does it all always go away eventually?
Eventually it does, yes. So
But
things
plastic
that,
doesn't come
from paper
from
products.
the earth.
No, so plastic is made from chemicals. So this is a good way to reduce our plastic, because some plastic can't be recycled and it has to go to the landfill. And our landfill is getting very filled up with plastics.
Okay. Okay, so now what do I do with my pot?
Now that we have our pot, I'm going to switch over to a smaller one. Now that we have our pot, we can fill it with dirt. So we're going to want to use some nice potting soil. If you don't have potting soil, you can dig up some dirt in the backyard, as long as your parents say it's okay. And we're going to I use a little scoop if you don't want to get your hands dirty.
I love getting my hands dirty.
Fill it in. I do too, but some people don't.
It's okay.
So we're going to want to fill this newspaper pot almost all the way to the top.
Dirt. So should I take the dirt like from my mom's rose bush? Would that be really healthy dirt for me to use from outside, or?
If she's okay with that, but yeah, so we want to use if it's already in the garden, that means it's probably really good soil. It's really healthy and has a lot of the components that will help our new plants grow.
Can I use
So that looks
compost
awesome.
in here? The compost you talked about?
We don't want to use compost when we're starting new plants, because compost goes on top of the soil. Compost is not something that we want to start plants with, but it's kind of like a natural fertilizer. So once we have a plant started, we can add the compost on top of it.
So if I take the dirt from my mom's flower bed, I could put compost on top to make up for it.
Yep, absolutely. That'll help your plants grow nice and big and pretty.
This is pretty cool.
All right, so it looks like it looks like we have our little newspaper pots, and now we get to plant our seeds. So I don't have a seed with me, so I'm just gonna pretend.
That's okay. I have magic beans.
Magic beans, like Jack and the Beanstalk?
Yes, I'll plant one for you.
Ooh, perfect. All right, so when we plant it, we're gonna put just a little poke in our finger, drop our seed in. And then we're gonna pinch the dirt around it so that we can't see the seed anymore. Yep. So now we're almost all the way finished with our indoor activity. So we can go outside, and if our parents are okay with it, we can dig a hole that will fit our newspaper pot.
I put the whole pot in the dirt?
The whole pot in the dirt. So the paper is going to break down, and it's going to turn into compost, and it's going to help insulate our plant and give it some support so it grows nice and big.
Does it also feed my plant?
Yeah, so that's part of the compost. It's a natural fertilizer, so it'll help protect, and it'll give it some nutrients too. So instead of using plastic, which we'd have to throw away, we have something natural that we can keep in the ground.
That's awesome.
So once we're ready to plant it, we're going to want to dig a hole in the earth that will fit our pot, and we're going to want to place it in there. And then if I had a Jack and the Beanstalk seed, I might use like a popsicle stick, and I could write that on there, and I could decorate this however I want. So then I can stick this into the ground, and I know exactly where I planted it and exactly what it is.
That's a good idea.
And it also helps you can measure how big your beanstalk is growing day by day.
Oh, and if I eat the popsicle first, I'm recycling, right?
Hey, there you go. You got it.
So should I water this now? Should I wait to put it in the ground?
Once you put it in the ground, you're going to want to water it right away so it has nutrients, water, and then hopefully sunshine. And this weekend's supposed to be very sunny, so this is a good weekend to do it.
Okay. Thank you so much. That's awesome. So I have a book also, Hannah, that says that I can use an egg carton to plant seeds. Is
Cool.
that something that you guys do there or would talk about with some kids?
Yeah, for sure. So the egg carton's going to act in a similar manner as our newspaper. It's going to break down organically, and it's going to help hold our seeds in. And then you can plant a lot at one time.
So, but only certain kinds break down, right? Like I have this one that's like cardboard, but sometimes they come in like pink or yellow, like squishy. It feels like styrofoam. Can I use both?
Yep. So I have an example of what we can't use. This is
Oh,
a styrofoam. They're usually brightly colored. They feel squishy. They're actually made out of plastic. So this type of
oh,
plastic can't be recycled. This would go into the landfill, so we don't want to use this kind.
okay.
The kind that you have, which I also have, is made from recycled paper. So if you have an egg carton, that's made from paper that has been recycled, and they repurposed it into an egg carton. So this is going to be something that we can use because it's going to break down.
And that helps us be sustainable, right?
Exactly.
Okay.
So the more that we can do that's natural and the less that we can send to the landfill, the better. And if we can do stuff like this that helps our gardens look nice and gives us a fun activity, even better.
Yeah, I have I'm sure you've already seen these books because you know all about recycling and sustainability in the landfill. But I brought this book that I just found at the library. And you can like call and ask for it at the library if you want to borrow it. And it's all about reusing boxes and packages to make science. And there's one that you
Ooh.
can make crafts with recycling. Is that a good idea? Do you think? Does that help?
I think that's an awesome idea because that's what we call upcycling, where instead of, sending this to the recycling bin, I'm actually making it into a better project by using a recycled arts and crafts. So I have something that's going to be that I like to do and that gives me a good project to work on.
Oh, thank you so much. I'm so happy that you were able to join us today.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun, and I hope that your beanstalk grows all the way to the sky.
Me too. When we eventually, if we eventually open, maybe you can come see it outside in our flower bed.
Ooh, yeah, sounds good.
That's awesome. Hannah, thank you so much for joining us today and teaching us how to make this pot. Would you come back to do another project with us?
Yeah, I'd love to come back, and we can do maybe a different type of recycled arts and crafts next time.
Ooh, that'd be fun. Okay, that sounds great. Well, friends, watch out for another video with Hannah from the Wood County Solid Waste Management District to come and join us. She can practice with her nieces and nephews to find out some really fun stuff we can do with recycling. And remember, you can ask for these books. You can call and request them. You can look online and put them on hold and stop by and check them out, borrow them for a little bit. And you can also find our Connect magazine with all our summer reading program stuff on the website. We also have a Connect magazine and information on WCDPL.org. Hannah, do you have a website where people can find you or find information about your business or to come talk?
Yeah, so if you go to www.recyclewoodcounty.org, you can find all about our presentations and also where you can recycle in Wood County.
Ooh. Oh, that sounds great. So we can recycle again in Wood County?
Yes, we have 12 different locations and we take a bunch of different materials. So it's a great way to, instead of sending things to the landfill, you can give things a new life.
That's brilliant. Hannah, thank you so, so much. I'm really looking forward to talking to you again.
Thanks, Amy.
All right, see you later. Stay well.
You too. Bye.
Bye.